Hello and welcome to the G.O.A.T Show, a show with everly increasing production values and everly declining host talent. I'm your host, Caleb Short. We're flying solo once again today. We've got a decent show lined up. I haven't had much time for research, and I've got to get a recording in tonight, or else I'm not going to have time for a while. And I haven't had time before this either, but we've got Kansas Jayhawk basketball talk. I mean, what a week for the Hawks, winning against West Virginia in probably one of the top 5 greatest basketball games I've ever seen. And then following that up with another huge win down in Waco at the Farrell Center. I mean, you can't stop them right now. KU is on fire. And we're going to follow that up with, I know you're not supposed to talk about golf we're not even close to the Masters yet, but Dustin Johnson, what he's been able to put together lately, I figured I would touch on that a little bit. And we've also got ourselves a little bit of All-Star Game talk. I'll actually probably throw the All-Star Game talk in before I get to golf. That way I don't lose any viewers before I have to. So yeah, NBA All-Star Game talk. What's there to talk about? But I'll probably just complain about it a little bit. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Kansas Jayhawk basketball. They're unstoppable right now. Bill Self recently got named a finalist to go into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Obviously, on his first ballot. Frank Mason and Josh Jackson have been pretty much unstoppable the last couple games. They've had some scares. They've tried to lose them. But when the going gets tough, coaching talent really shows through it. Bill Self, he's an insane recruiter. He's not John Calipari in terms of recruiting. He's a top 5 recruiter. But in my mind right now, you can't name anybody who's definitively better at coaching in-game. There's no other team in the country that, whatever it was, they were down big against West Virginia. It was like 13-14 at this point. I don't even remember, it was so long ago. But they were down. I wanted to turn off the television. I couldn't find the remote. And what happens? They come back immediately. Immediately! Like, just a slow, methodical comeback. I tweeted at one point during the game, right about the time where everybody says the comeback started, I tweeted ball game. 45 minutes later, the game ended. That was the longest comeback I've ever... there was overtime in there, obviously, but it was just so slow, methodical, timeouts. Coach drawing up plays. KU hitting big shot after big shot. West Virginia missing some free throws. It was just slow and steady, and it kept coming, and eventually the game was over, and KU had won it. And it's not even so much the fact that Bill Self, of course he has his great X's and O's plays that he draws up out of timeouts. And of course he's playing with an incredibly unconventional lineup for him right now. But it's more than that. There has to be something else. It's just the name on the front of the jersey right now. It gives anybody playing behind that jersey, anybody playing with that jersey over their chest, the confidence to know that I am on a better basketball team than that team I am playing there. They are not as good as us. We are on a better team, and that means we should win, right? And what do you know? They go out and do it. And the team looking at it, West Virginia, shit themselves as soon as that comeback started. Baylor, an 8-0 run in the last, minute or something? I don't know how long it took, but Baylor suddenly turned into a turnover machine. What was that play for their last shot? They ended up taking some weird falling down chuck from just inside the line. Come on. Scott Drew is not a good in-game coach, but it's not all just Scott Drew not being a good in-game coach. It's that fear of playing against the Jayhawks. It's unbelievable. It's the same kind of thing you get in football. You're like, that team we're playing against is wearing maroon helmets that have numbers on the side of them. That's Alabama. And anybody who plays that, they know that's Alabama, and they know that that team is probably better than them. even if Nick Saban ever has a down year, you're not going to see him, like, you're not going to see Alabama miss a bowl game ever, because their jersey just says that we don't miss bowl games. KU's never going to miss the tournament. And if they do, I mean, okay, Bill Self is not going to be here forever, but under Bill Self, KU's never missing the tournament. Even that 1 year that was supposedly the down year, what happened? I can tell you. They got a 3 seed in the tournament. You know how many teams would kill for a 3 seed? Mizzou basketball would freaking kill to be in the CBI at the end of the year. And it's not happening. Screw Mizzou. KU is not missing the tournament, ever. KU, what is it, 13 straight Big 12 titles? It's insane. It's insane. And it's got to do with the coaching. It's got to do with the facilities around it, the ability to recruit, the history, and just the name, Kansas. Just right there. Right there. Kansas. And that right there, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're playing KU. You're done. Frank Mason, your candidate for National Player of the Year. He's averaging 20.3 points a game. 4 boards. 5 assists. He was nothing when he showed up here. But now he plays for Kansas. He's been under Bill Self for a while. And he's become a monster. Josh Jackson. He's averaging 16.5. 6 boards, 3 assists. He's starting to really turn it on. This team, I was not a believer when the man with a very hard to pronounce name, Yodoko Azubuike, when he was declared out for the season, and when Carlton Bragg was going through his whatever he's doing with himself, you really had to think, like, can this team do anything? Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but winning at Kentucky, winning at Baylor, and then having that comeback of all freaking comebacks against West Virginia, I mean, this team is tournament ready. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This team is ready to go. This team is ready to go deep. The regional runs through Kansas City that will most likely be in, and so you've got to think that that's going to bode well. I mean, I honestly, it's harder for me to think of a scenario where KU gets bounced. Like, it's harder for me to think of a scenario where KU doesn't find a way to make it to the Final Four, because, let's just face it, they are. That's what they're going to do. They are going to freaking somehow... I mean, I can't see anybody coming into Sprint Center and being able to beat KU with what is undoubtedly a home court advantage. And... yeah. I mean, who's going to do that? Seriously. It's going to be insane. It is going to be insane. One more thing. This is kind of KU-y. Let's see here. We've got... let me pull up this article. Brandon Rush here on Wednesday night of the TCU game will be having a big number 25 hung in the rafters that will stare down at anybody who dares enter the fog from here on out. He was only here for 3 years. Would have only been here for 2 if it wouldn't have been for that ACL injury that ended up giving us another year that went pretty well, if I understand correctly. Brandon Rush. He's a guy that, I don't know, you think of Brandon Rush, and he was always just such an effortless scorer. He was always a guy that, he wasn't the best shooter. He wasn't the best penetrator. He was just a scorer. He was, you gave him one dribble, mid-range pull-up, bang. He, 3-time All Big 12. I believe he was a finalist for the Wooden Award once. I think so. I don't know. I read the article earlier. I don't remember. I think he was the final. Here, let me see. Yeah, there he is. He ended up being drafted, and I believe he's had like 3 ACL injuries or something since then. Like, knees have not been good. But as a college basketball player, he is awesome. And so, with Brandon Rush having his jersey in the rafters, I mean, what other people from that team are there? I don't know who. I don't think any of them have been hung. But you got to know Chalmers is going to go up. Russell Robinson would seem like he would have a shot of having his jersey hung. Who else? Maybe like, I mean, the big guys, we just had so many of them. Cole Aldridge will be up there. Sasha maybe, but definitely Cole Aldridge. He'll go up. I mean, that team, you'd think back about it. And whenever I look at KU teams since then, I think, what did that team have? And that team had undeniable balance. And that's one of the things that scares me about this team, is I don't see, like, Devontae Graham is not going to carry this team. He's not going to be able to be a guy that comes up, and he's not going to be able to be a guy that comes out there and scores you 20 points and, leads the team to a victory. I don't think Devontae Graham has that kind of firepower. I don't think that anybody in the post is going to do anything. And so it really just comes down to Mason and Jackson. And there's a team out there. I don't know who it is, but there's a team out there that's going to have a plan to be able to shut those guys down. And so, depending on how, like, our posts are able to step up, somebody's going to have to step up in the tournament. There's going to be a game where those guys are 1-2 punches limited. Somebody's going to have to step up out there. I don't know. The thing is, with that championship team, I mean, Russell Robinson wasn't going to do anything for you, but Chalmers was going to do something for you. Rush could do something for you. Even freaking the little guy number 4, that I'm very quickly blanking on his name. Off the bench, we had scoring, though. Whatever his name was. I can't remember his name. Sharon Collins. Collins could go score for you. In the post, we had 4, like, that North Carolina game. That game was won by having 4 really, really good posts that just Tyler Hansbrough could not do anything against. I mean, Con, Jackson, Arthur, and Cole Aldridge. I mean, four people like that. KU doesn't have that anymore. They have 2 posts. They have Landon Lucas as a solid, boring post. Josh Jackson is half post, and Carlton Bragg is half post. Other than that, Mitch Lightfoot, yeah. Dwight Colby, yeah. Those are not guys that you're going to be able to trust in the tournament. And so, I mean, you're going to have to, though. At some point, somebody is going to need to step up, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, I hope in the Big 12 tournament and with the rest of the way here, KU's able to get those guys some more minutes. Like, coming up, you've got TCU, Texas, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. I would say against Oklahoma at home and against TCU at home, and even Texas on the road, you ought to be able to find some more meaningful minutes for some of those lesser guys. I mean, you're gonna have to see him at some point, and just get Mitch Lightfoot. Give me 15 minutes of Mitch Lightfoot against Oklahoma. Let's get these guys some meaningful minutes going in. I mean, there's no point in wearing down our big guns. Let's get these guys. Let's get them some rest. So I think that's pretty much all the KU points I can make. Congratulations, Brandon Rush. You're a great guy. I wonder if he can get into like any sort of coaching or something. I don't know how he is with that. But I mean, any way he can stay in basketball would probably benefit him. So let's go ahead and, why? I don't need no break. Let's go ahead and jump straight into, because I don't have much time, let's go ahead and talk a little NBA All-Star Game. Didn't watch it. 192 to 182. You know what that is? That's a layup line. You watch the highlights, it's a bunch of, oh, here's a lob. Psh, woo, oh, look at him. He got a steal and he dunked it. Look, Steph Curry's laying on the ground. Come on now. What are we doing? Why is this a thing? All-Star games are pointless. They don't take them seriously. People complain about the baseball All-Star game because, they're trying to give it meaning by, like, home field advantage is dumb. Baseball All-Star game, for the most part, they actually take it serious. I've never seen anybody go up there to the batter's box as a right-handed hitter and try and bat left-handed or anything. They're taking it serious. And they would probably still take it serious without I don't know if I'm a fan of having it decide home field advantage in the World Series, but it does. And you know what? Those guys would probably take it serious even if it didn't mean home field advantage. Baseball just lends itself to having an all-star game better. The pitchers, they're not going to wear themselves out. They're going to throw 2 innings, so they're going to go all out for their 1 or 2 innings. And oftentimes less than an inning. The batters, if anything, it's good for them. They're out there, they're getting looks against good pitchers. That can't be a bad thing. Go out there, see what, at some point you might be facing this guy, get yourself a look at him. Have at-bats again. More at-bats is never a bad thing. There's a reason why, like with the Royals, whenever they talk about every offseason before we sign a DH, they're like, we can get Salvi and play him at DH a little bit and, keep his bat in the lineup, but get him some rest. Because going out and hitting a couple times does not hurt your body. The baseball All-Star game is almost worth watching if you enjoy baseball. It's a great exhibition of really good pitchers versus really good hitters. But the NBA All-Star game, there's nothing to it. All the guys are just out there hugging and, oh, look, go ahead, right there, shoot it. All right, I'll just launch a half-court 3. Look at me, I'm one of those ball kids. I think it's LaMelo. They're just all out there launching shots. While we're out at the rest of the weekend, I've seen every dunk that they do in the All-Star game, or in the dunk contest. I watch all the highlights of the dunk contest because it used to be pretty cool. And the thing is, it's probably been stale for a while, but I can't really speak for 1980s dunk contests, but for me, I've seen every one of these. Like, oh, look at that. He jumped over 3 people and he threw it in the goal. Good job. I've seen all these dunks. The 3-point contest. Does that ever change? It's just, 3. They just shoot 3s. I can watch the last round of it on SportsCenter or whatever, and I have seen all I need to see. Unless somebody puts up a 30 bomb, I will not be incredibly interested in anything that has to do with the 3-point contest. The celebrity game is a cool concept. I enjoy the celebrity softball game. I enjoy watching highlights of that. It's not something I'm ever going to tune in to watch just because I'm seeing bad basketball. If the celebrity game was taken more seriously, just like the real All-Star game, if the celebrities took that game seriously and were actually out there, playing physical basketball, the celebrity game could be awesome. Like the celebrity softball game, it's a bunch of dudes that, some of them know how to hit, some of them don't. You get some women out there that have no idea what they're doing. And the celebrity softball game, it's fun just to go back and see the highlights of it. The celebrity NBA game could actually be a really, really intriguing thing, I wouldn't mind seeing Bieber and Justin Timberlake D up on each other. I wouldn't mind seeing some hard fouls. If they, it'd be really awesome if they could, get a couple practices in, go out there and, it'd basically be like watching a really famous person high school game. And that would be awesome to watch. But no, it's also kind of a layup line game. And you've got little kids out there. Oh, let's just let the kids score. Come on. Give me something interesting. So All-Star Weekend for me is terrible. I can't stand it. I watched 0 live minutes of the NBA All-Star Weekend. I watched highlights from everything, in the making of this video, but no, don't give me NBA All-Star Weekend. Not a fan. Oh, I meant to touch on the Pro Bowl too. The Pro Bowl, I talked a little bit about MLB. So the Pro Bowl is not better. The Pro Bowl, I mean, they actually, it's the thing about the Pro Bowl is it's football. It's football. Injuries happen all the time, and I can understand why so many quarterbacks find ways out of it, because you don't want to be out there. While we're at it, having the best players from the two best teams not in the Pro Bowl whatsoever because they have to play in the Super Bowl the next week is really not a good way to market that. Tom Brady never plays in the Pro Bowl at this point because he's always in the Super Bowl. A lot of intriguing stars are not in the Pro Bowl. Your MVP of the league was not playing in the Pro Bowl. Alex Smith played in the Pro Bowl this year. That's all you need to know about the Pro Bowl, is that Alex Smith played in it. And Matt Castle also played in it once. So the Pro Bowl is a joke. I don't know how you fix the Pro Bowl. I know you fix the NBA. To fix the NBA All-Star Game, I don't know, give them some money or something. Because it's basketball. Have them just D-up a little bit. Take it personal. Give them more money if they win. Don't give Anthony Davis scored 52 points. He had 32 at the end of 3. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's just dunk a lot. Just give Davis the ball. Give him some lobs and let him dunk. What are you doing? Giannis Antetokounmpo had 12 dunks in the game. Come on. I'd love to. I don't know. There's got to be a stat somewhere that shows the total number of dunks. If I had to guess, I didn't watch it, but if I had to guess, there was probably about 10 mid-range shots and probably 100 or so dunks. There you go. That's the NBA All-Star Game for you. And finally, I've got Dustin Johnson. It's a slow time for sports right now. It's college basketball, NBA, and golf. Early season golf. Dustin Johnson, he won the Genesis Open this week. You guys can all tune out that don't care about golf. Thanks for watching. Dustin Johnson, he shot 17 under. The rest of the field is a bunch of no names. Okay, there's some names in there. But Dustin Johnson, he really just ran away with this one. I mean, other notable names, you got Justin Rose tied for 4th. Kevin Na tied for 4th. Charley Hoffman tied for 4th. Okay, you tied for 4th, and the first place guy was the names in this tournament. Dustin Johnson. Gilkey, I don't know if you're listening, you summarized it best. He said when Dustin Johnson's on, nobody in the game can compete with him, except maybe if they're lucky, you could get a Jordan Spieth or Rory, or maybe a Jason Day. But Dustin Johnson's just, when you hit it farther than everyone, and I would throw Bubba in that list, honestly. He didn't put Bubba in there, but I might throw Bubba in there, because he had a run at one point, and he could bring that back. But Dustin, he's long, and the only thing he's missing is he's always going to be long. If he can make it straight, and he can knock in some putts, he's unbeatable. And I honestly think I think Dustin's going to expand his major championship collection this year. If he's got to at least get one of them. I don't know if Augusta suits him as well, but any U.S. Open course, I don't know where it's at this year. Isn't it I think it's at Pinehurst? Torrey Pines? I don't know. I'm just making words. But any U.S. Open course where they just set it up to be brutally difficult and normally brutally long, Dustin Johnson is going to have an advantage at. There's a reason why back-to-back years he should have won the U.S. Open. And I think the U.S. Open's probably the most likely one for him to get again. But I could really see him winning any of them, because the man is he's a monster with a golf club in his hand. I mean, you can't stop him. He's basically what every golfer imagines himself as, just crushing the ball down the fairway. Nobody ever thinks about having really good mid-iron play. and being able to flip their pitching wedge up there beautifully. But you look at Dustin Johnson, he's what everybody wants to be as a golfer. And so I think that's about it. It's a shorter show, but like I said, slow time in sports. Let me know if you like the webcam. I even hung this picture up for it. Make it look better. Like that's a solid art project of mine right there. That's always there though. I can't say I hung that up for the show. That's always just up there. Yeah, so let me know if you enjoyed it. Any suggestions or thoughts on the show, let me know. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.
Well, this sucks.